Alright, hope everybody's having a good one. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with Cookie Pirate. Today we're flying the Cirrus SR22 going from Fort Yukon, Alaska down to Dawson City in the Yukon in Canada. Looks like it's going to be about an hour and 8 minutes, going at 21,000 feet and should be 216 miles. Climb aboard, let's go flying. Sorry, I had to step up real quick. Alright, we are ready to fly. Beautiful day up here. Quick pre-flight the plane, still gotta pull the straps and the cover. Now we can climb in. Okay. Go ahead and get the aircraft turned on. There's some snow on the grounds, but it's actually fairly mild up here today. Of course, this far north, late April, is kind of the onset of when the snow and ice and everything start melting. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Alright, let's initialize this CDI to GPS. Clear that off. Battery switches, nav and strobe lights on, so we get ready to start the engine. Let's go ahead and set our autopilot up and everything. Cruising at 21,000, ooh, a little bit high there, 21,000 feet. FLC on, and we'll set to 110. That jumped down, holy cow. That thing's really finicky. Alright, can't set a heading yet, because we actually don't have it short for this airport. We'll get that here in a bit. VNav on, we'll leave nav off and heading on set for now. Let's get the engine started up. We'll go boost pump on. Mixture full forward, throttle full forward, then close it off, and then bump it just a tiny bit again. It's clear around the aircraft, clear left, clear right. This thing will move out of the way, it won't trigger a collision. Ignition to both, and we can engage the starter. Clear! Alright, engine is running, oil pressure is immediately up into the green. Temperature is going up. Alternator switch is on. Battery amperage is good. We can turn the avionics on. And let's set a frequency for the weather here at Fort Yukon, 125.8.
Papa Foxtrot Yankee Uniform Automated Weather Observation. 0000 Zulu. Wind 040 at 6. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 1 tree C dew point. 0 C altimeter 2977.
Okay, that checks out. We are good to go ahead and taxi. So what I think we'll do is make the left turn here. Yeah, got the airplane over there. Alright. Well, let's go ahead, release the parking brake, and we're going to turn. Plenty of room up here. Pull that power back a little bit. And this is the way out onto the runway, so we're going to stop just short of here. Parking brake set. Let's go ahead and do a quick run up. Set the flaps to half, out of the cockpit. Check the flight controls. Rudder's good. Elevator's good. Ailerons are good. Flaps are confirmed at half. Back into the cockpit. Time for a run up. 1700 RPMs. Pump that just a tiny bit more. That's good there. Mag check. Let's go to the right. Good drop. Back to both. Left. Good drop. Back to both. Engine instruments are in the green. No warnings, errors, cautions, anything. So we'll go ahead, go back to power idle. Alright, we are going to take runway 4 for departure. So what we can go ahead and do is set our heading bug. So it's right in line there. So yeah, 044. We'll turn the heading select on. Nav is off, VNav is on, vertical speed is off, FLC is on, altitude is set 21,000. Release the parking brake and let's go ahead taxi out. We can make it from here. We don't have to back taxi. Airspeed is already alive with the wind. 77 knots will rotate. We're looking good. Full power. Full power set. Engine instruments are good. 60 knots. 70. 77 up. Alright, good. Tap the brakes. Positive rate of climb. Once we're over 88, flaps up. There we go. Engage the autopilot. Beautiful view. Ah, look out that way. You can actually see some mountains off in the distance. Great view of the town of Fort Yukon here. We'll get an even better view once we kind of turn on course. Once we're 1,200 feet above the ground. Begin our turn. There it is. And we can turn nav on, make sure heading holds. Yep, it does. So we're actually good. And we can go ahead and shut the, Oh no, we didn't turn it on, the landing light. It's not a huge deal. Alright, pitot heat required. It's down to 4 Celsius outside. And let's get a view out here. So this is all the Yukon Flats. Beautiful view of the Yukon River. And the town is right behind us. We look out of the cockpit, we'll see that. So that's the town of Fort Yukon, home only to about 600 people, I believe. And the airport right back there. Great view of the Yukon River. And that is the southern part of the Brooks Range. You can actually see a lot of it is still snow-capped. And there's some residual snow on the ground, although you can see a lot of it is melting away. So just some kind of isolated patches of snow. The river has melted. We're turning on course to intercept the nav track. Alright, this time we can go ahead, pull the power back, 30.5 on the manifold pressure. That's good there. And lean. Alright, looking for 20 gallons per hour. Good right there. Peak power is set. And we've got a ways to climb. 21,000 feet. pull the map up here. Okay, our route today, out of Fort Yukon. This sits right on the side of the Yukon River. And Fort Yukon actually sits on the Arctic Circle. It's one of the warmest parts of the state in the summer, one of the coldest parts of the state in the winter. I'll talk about that here in a bit. But we're basically following the Yukon River southbound, not completely, as it kind of cuts further south down here. Now we're going over some of these mountains here. We kind of cross back over the river, and it kind of winds its way down through these mountains, cross over into Canada, and going into Dawson. So if we zoom out on the map, Alaska's such a massive state. All the way down here is Anchorage. About 120 miles to the southwest is Fairbanks, the second largest city in the state. And Dawson is almost straight east of Fairbanks. These are the White Mountains. This is the Brooks Range up here that you can kind of see in the distance. It's still quite chilly up there, but not by Alaska standards. So yeah, Fort Yukon sits right on the Arctic Circle. So you get a week of midnight sun right around the summer solstice in late June. And then in the winter time, contrary to popular belief, the sun does not, I should say, the sun does rise. It actually just gets right on the horizon for an hour and a half or two. And Fort Yukon is a native community of the Gwich'in Alaska natives. And the Gwich'ins occupy a few different towns kind of around here in the Yukon Flats, and a little bit further north in Arctic Village, and then in Old Crow over in the Yukon. We'll be going over near a few different airports. There's Circle City. These are all options in case we were to have any issues. We needed to make an emergency landing. Circle City, right here on the Yukon. And then down a little bit further is Central and Circle Hot Springs. Coal Creek sits back here, unpaved. And then Eagle is somewhere over here. It's one of my favorite airports to fly into. Where is it? Should be up here. Maybe right down here somewhere? Right, okay, right there. I thought about doing a flight into Eagle until I found that the visibility was a quarter mile. Just with that, there's thick haze over the town right now. It'd just be completely impossible to fly into Eagle with the visibility as it is. So you could hope that it kind of clears out, or in our case, we're just going to continue on to Dawson. Hey Shem, what's going on? Old Crow, yeah, Old Crow is a native community in the very north of the Yukon. I've actually done a couple flights up there. Already up at 13,000 feet. We're getting really good climb performance today. With the weather being a little bit cooler up here. It's already minus 15 Celsius. That's 5 Fahrenheit. And right now a very gentle 6-knot tailwind. Beautiful view out there over the flats. And pretty view out that direction is the White Mountains. And you can kind of see where the snow is melting and everything. Loud engine, but yeah, the Yukon River back here. Looking for it, Fort Yukon. Let's see, that's the Porcupine River. So where they merge, I believe that's going to be the town of Fort Yukon right back there. Can barely see it. Brooks Range to the north. Really great flying up there. The weather's not excellent up there. And back there's the White Mountains. This lovely panorama up here, yeah, it's going to get even better as we approach some of the mountains. Circle City is going to be sitting back over there. And if you were to look back kind of into this valley, you would find Central and Circle Hot Springs. $16,000 feet. And I need to step up real quick. Alright, good. Now lean that mixture just a tiny bit there. There we go, peak power. This plane is so quiet with those headphones. Alright, there we go, 18,000 feet. We can set standard pressure. And we're cruising at 21 today. Zoom out a little bit there. Some of these other airports that we're looking at. Birch Creek back here. If we look off to the right, or left rather. Let's see. I think it's going to be a little bit too far to see, but there's a town out here on the Black River, which kind of merges with the Porcupine River over here. But on the Black River, I think there it is right there. That is the town of Chalkyitsik, which is another native community. Has very few people living there. I believe less than 100. Might be just over. I don't remember. Porcupine River, are you kidding me? That's a good one. 20,000 feet. We've got 1K to go. Minus 30, which is Celsius, which is minus 22 Fahrenheit. It's pretty chilly up here. That is Alaska. Even while it's warm on the ground. Excuse me, by Alaska standards, it's warm on the ground and for this time of year. And then we're leveling off. Oh, that's so neat. We're looking off the plane levels. Great view of the mountains out that way. These are all the White Mountains. And I don't think we'd really be able to see it. But if we were to look way off in the distance beyond those mountains, you can actually see the cloud cover building up. But just beyond them on the other side is the Tanana River Valley. That's where you're going to find Fairbanks and some of those other towns along the Tanana River, like Delta Junction. If we pull the map up and look, they'll be all down here. So that's Delta Junction. Actually, Fairbanks would be more off our right wing or a little bit ahead. But yeah, the view of the mountains is going to get really nice as we go further in. We'll fly over them a bit. kind of see Circle City right over there. And Central and Circle Hot Springs a little bit further back. Glad that tickled you. I love the view, yeah. Oh, it's spectacular. I love doing flights up in Alaska. Definitely one of my favorite places to fly. Pretty up that way too. So yeah, with Fort Yukon sitting right on the Arctic Circle, and it's deep in the interior in a valley, surrounded by mountains on most sides. So it gets extremely cold in the wintertime, temperatures approaching minus 50 Celsius, about almost minus 60 Fahrenheit, is not unheard of. And then in the summertime, it's actually one of the hottest parts of the state. Temperatures that can rise up over 30 Celsius, which is the upper 80s Fahrenheit. And it is known to hit 90. In fact, Fort Yukon actually holds the record for the warmest temperature ever recorded in Alaska at 100 Fahrenheit, which is 38 Celsius. And for many years, it actually held the record for the coldest temperature ever recorded as well, at minus 61 Celsius, until a small town called Prospect Creek up in the mountains took that record. Minus 62. Which is minus 80 Fahrenheit. Just almost unfathomable cold. Unless you've ever visited, like, the South Pole or Vostok in Antarctica. Those are regular winter temperatures. Not really a whole lot to do up here. We're getting good ground speed, 225. Yeah, so right there is Circle City. I don't think we're going to really be able to pick out Central and Circle Hot Springs well. It's a little bit far out. Kind of out that direction there. This is saying about 46 minutes en route. Well, we climbed up pretty quick. It should just be about an hour and 8 minutes total flight time. Used about 7 gallons of fuel on the left tank. So we're actually doing pretty well in efficiency right now, but we'll flip that here in a minute. Beautiful view of the mountains out that way. And yeah, you're kind of looking into Canada, way off in the distance right now. I say most of this here is still Alaska. We're not that far east yet. I really wish they had the state and national borders displayed on the map. But yeah, there's Eagle. Well, you can kind of see right here. The border with Canada basically runs right down here. It's just a very short distance. Eagle's probably 2 to 3 miles west of the border with Canada. We should get a decent view of it if the reported haze ends up clearing up. But we'll find out. Well, a great view of the White Mountains out that way. If we... Yeah, I'm not sure that we can pick it up. Maybe just a tiny bit out here in the distance, kind of where it flattens out a bit. That's where, like, Fairbanks and stuff would sit. Simulating the turbo exhaust. But they're off the wings. That's something that Flight Sim 20 didn't do. Kind of see a little bit of the patchwork terrain, the satellite imagery. Some of it's auto-generated too, so you have this like linear patches of snow there. A lot of it's thought out as they've had, you know, plenty of time above freezing, and the weather's been really nice up here. Can't say the same for most of the rest of the state, unfortunately. Well, the weather at Eagle is improving. They said the visibility's up to 5 miles, so we actually could make it into there if we wanted to, but we're going to try to continue all the way to Dawson. If we went to Eagle, we'd be saving... oh, I don't know, 15 minutes? No, actually more. 20. Fuel imbalance, really? I was supposed to trigger at 9 gallons. Maybe it's 8. Go ahead and switch that, and we can turn the boost pump off this time. That should clear momentarily. There it goes. Nice view out there. So it's about 4:30, a little after 4:30 in the afternoon, Alaska time. Dawson is an hour ahead, I believe. Actually, Actually not totally sure right now. Yeah, it is. Okay, so it's an hour ahead. Now I'm looking for a frequency to try to get weather. Let's see. Canadian airports, they have their listings different from US airports. We could always do is go in. I guess we could do this. Click on the airport. More info. Frequencies. We got the ground. Flight service. 122.1. We could try that and see if that does anything. That's Anchorage Flight Service Station, is that? Perhaps. They have a remote communications outlet. Yeah, so we might actually have to get the weather from the tablet. They will give an ASOS, which is the weather report that they generate every hour. So if we pull that up there, it'll say, alright, so as of right now, we've got another 40 minutes, or 38 minutes to go, so we'll have to check once we get closer. Right now they're saying 230 at 6, 20 miles of visibility, few clouds at 6,800, few clouds 20,000 feet, and few at 24,000. 14 Celsius, that's 57 Fahrenheit, and 2980 on the altimeter. Now we'll check to see if we get an update. That was from an hour ago, it hasn't updated. Let's check the remarks. I'm looking on my second monitor here. Issue time 17:21. 16 to 23. Oh, so that's going to be the last one for today because they don't do additional updates beyond that until the summer, probably when there's more light and aircraft can fly in later. So that sounds like the latest weather update that we're going to get. Okay. Well, we'll stick with that. We just have to plan, but the weather seems plenty good enough that we can make it in. Now, interesting to note is they're saying 2-1, but here's the tricky thing about that. You look off this end of the runway, there's a mountain there, and there's terrain up there, so it gets difficult to fly that approach. The easier way to do it is to actually come down. This is the Yukon River, this is the Klondike River, and the town of Dawson actually sits over here. So generally what I've done in the past is fly down over the town and follow the Porcupine River in to short final rather than trying to cut around these here. It's a little bit of a tricky airport to get into. Out of isn't as bad if you have good climb performance. Taking off runway 3 is tough. Taking off 2-1, you just fly and then follow the river down. I think we would try to make it in on 3 at the risk of taking a tailwind. We can take a 10-knot tailwind in this plane. If it's above that, we really don't want to do that. But I think we should be able to okay, based on what the latest weather update was. Alright, if we look out over this way, we're looking to... the mountains just out back here, kind of behind the river. Looking for a little grass strip. It's probably going to be pretty tough to see, but if we can make it out, that's Coal Creek Airport. It's actually a pretty fun airport to fly in and out of. I did a while back, I did a flight in the Cub Crafters X Cub. So it might be that around there, because that's the little creek right there. Guess that would be it there. I want to say it sits back there. Fun little grass strip though, and I remember taking that X Cub, doing a soft field like stall performance, and I got that airplane airborne at 29 knots. That was fun. Try that. It's a really fun airport to fly in and out of in the summertime when the weather's really, when the weather's really nice. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, now that we're kind of coming over the mountains, the view's getting really nice. All the Yukon is off to our right currently. It's west of us. But you look ahead and it actually kind of swings back around. Follow it down. Yeah, you can see that patch of haze right there sitting over Eagle. And then Dawson would be, I think, kind of somewhere back there. 33 minutes to go in the flight. This really is one of my favorite areas to fly in, especially in the summertime. I'd love to do a late night flight up here when it gets dark, even though many of these airports are extremely difficult to get into at nighttime. I mean, just how remote they are. A lot of these airports have minimal or no lighting. And flying at night in mountainous terrain has its own hazards. But it'd be really cool to come up here and take a flight in the middle of the night when you might be able to see some northern lights. Pop up over the nose of the plane and zoom in and take a look at that right down here. The Yukon kind of carving its way through these mountains. Actually, the river flows the opposite direction. It goes this way. But yeah, it's really pretty how it winds through all these different mountains and everything. Some more mountains out that way. Yeah, there's some more in the distance. I think we're too far away to see Denali. We have to be closer to Fairbanks. But you can see some pretty tall mountains out over that way. Just way off in the distance. It might be a little tough to see right now, but... The winds have shifted a little bit and calmed down. We're still getting a 5-knot tailwind. 6 knots. Minus 31 is minus 24 Fahrenheit. Definitely on the chilly side up here. Actually, we bumped that throttle up 30.6. We might get like one more knot. Not really worth it. But if we cruised at 23 or 25,000 feet, we'd go throttle full forward to maximize our power. Because what will happen is, if you climb higher than this, your peak power, the aircraft can only do so much with the thin air. And once you go above, really about 21 to 22, you lose the ability to even produce 30.5 inches on the manifold pressure. But with the increase in altitude, your true airspeed would increase, and potentially the winds aloft, just depending on what the weather exactly is doing. But if I checked on Sky Vector on the flight planner, let's see, hour and 8. If we go 23,000, it would be about the same, and it would be 1 extra minute at 25,000. So the wind isn't enough to justify going up to that altitude with the reduced power. Yeah, that is the last weather update, so we're not going to get anything better than that, which is fine. Well, that's interesting. It says both runways are recommended. We would be landing with a 6-knot tailwind if we went that way. Elevation's 1,209 feet. And just over 64 degrees latitude. So definitely considerably further south. But on the summer solstice, it won't get dark. You'll have about 20 to 21 hours of sunlight. And then when the sun is down, it's civil twilight, so it never really gets dark. Right, this time of year it still would for a few hours, like totally dark, like nighttime, but not much. So if we look, we're probably just a little bit more than halfway. Eagle sits down here. I'll have a small portion of the flight into Canada. Fort Yukon all the way back up here. That's Fairbanks, Delta Junction. All these mountains separating the Tanana and Yukon rivers. All the way back down here would be the Yukon River that runs into, actually it goes up this way and around. That's Whitehorse, that's the capital and the largest city in the Yukon. And what happened during the Klondike Gold Rush back in the late 1890s is people would actually come in to Skagway or Dai, hike up over the mountain pass into Canada, and then from Lake Bennett, which is right here, They would sail by boat all the way up the Yukon River, past Whitehorse, up through wherever else it runs, all the way up to Dawson, which was the hills of the Klondike where everybody would go and do their gold mining. And people actually still mine gold up here around Dawson. Oh yes, look at those mountains. That's the view I've been waiting for. We'll have to do, once the weather's a little better further north, we'll have to do some flights up in the Brooks Range. There's a couple really cool towns and airports up there if we pull the map back up and we come way up here. Arctic Village, kind of sitting on the southern edge of the Brooks Range. Chandeleur Lake sits right down here. This is a fabulous airport. And just the scenery of this kind of boomerang-shaped lake sitting right between these mountains here. Absolutely beautiful. You've got a couple others kind of out over this way. Bettles, Prospect Creek, somewhere down here. Where is it? It's gotta be around here.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that
There.
I've
Oh,
tried
yeah,
to.
okay. And then
You
further up,
said I was
Coldfoot,
the only one.
Wiseman,
No one likes being lied to.
and then,
You made
yeah,
this
right here,
mess
Anaktuvuk Pass. Absolutely beautiful airport. Sits right between two really steep mountain ridges. And the view over these mountains is just absolutely fabulous. One of my favorite areas to fly. We just need a little bit better weather.
I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need
Well, it's actually fairly nice up there now. Yeah, another time. We have good weather up here. Maybe in another day or so, consider doing a flight up there. Coming up on Eagle, that haze has definitely cleared up some. Yeah, there it is. That's the airport right there. The town sits kind of right back here behind this mountain, and then there's some over here called Eagle Village. And we are close to Canada. The border kind of runs like that. So we'll be in Canada in just a couple minutes flying time. And I think it'll be time, let's see, 23 minutes to go. We're at 21,000 feet. We've got about 20 to descend. I think it's time to start planning an approach into Dawson. Based on the terrain, we're gonna set the visual runway 3. Shifts the course very slightly and it tells us our top of descent. Let me zoom out and check that map, because it's got us, oh yeah, it's got us flying direct to the airport and then doing that funky loop around. So let's actually adjust that a little bit. Oh, and we need to start descending like now. Alright. 22 minutes out, 20,000 feet to descend. Gonna go ahead and drop our altitude. 4,000 feet, now I gotta check our terrain clearance. That's gonna be a little bit tricky. I think we can go to 4. But we'll need to really descend visually as much as possible. We're gonna go ahead and turn vertical speed on, lower at about 1,000 feet per minute. We're gonna pull back on the power to about 40%. Let's try to maintain right about that 159, 160. That's showing top of descent, and that looks way late to me. That's a steep descent.
Every time we say goodbye,
I don't like that. Yeah, so we'll stick with this here.
that it's a lie.
Kind of a more gradual descent to let us maintain our airspeed. Keep a reasonable amount of power in.
Yeah, you've watched me break your
Pretty much a direct crosswind right now. We're getting a 1 knot tailwind.
You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off.
See all the haze built up right over here, and a little bit of cloud cover. We will need to pay a little bit of attention on the descent, just to make sure if we do go through any of these, I mean, they're thin, so our exposure would be very limited, but I do want to make sure we don't pick up any icing.
Can't be waiting for you in the morning.
I think we can actually shallow that out just a notch or two. 900 or 800 feet per minute. Bump that power up to about 42 to 44%. Might be a touch much. Pull that back. Yeah, that's good there. In the real world, we would be talking to ATC. They would tell us how much to descend, giving us vectors. They do have one instrument approach available into Dawson. Oh, that's bugged. About to say those are the wrong runway numbers. No charts. And they don't have FAA charts available because it's not in the US. No big deal. Alright, descending through 18,000 feet. Let's go ahead here and set the altimeter. Last reported was 2980. So we'll go ahead and set that, and we can shallow our approach out another 100 feet per minute. Set it. Come on, 800. There we go. It is mildly finicky. Oh yeah, that haze is thickened up. Tough time finding Eagle Airport now. Well, beautiful view of these mountains though. Absolutely gorgeous. I know I've said this, but definitely one of my favorite areas to fly in, and you can see why. Way back into the cockpit here. And we can bump that power up even more. Speed is decaying just a little bit there. Leave it set about there. And we are in Canada at this point. Welcome to Canada, folks. There's no snow on this side of the river. So this warmed up substantially enough that the snow has melted, and there's actually not even much on a lot of these mountains here. minus 19 Celsius. Yeah, it looks like we may be going through a little bit of that cloud cover there. So once we get closer to it, we'll go ahead and turn the or de-icing on. Looks like we're bypassing a lot of that. Skip that there. I can't tell if the wing is just a little bit dirtier. That's actually, we have picked up some trace rime icing on the wings. As a precaution, I think we're going to go ahead and turn that on for a minute. And it looks like we're going to be going straight through a couple of these clouds here, so definitely the right move to have that on. When I said rime icing, I don't know how well the simulator replicates different types of icing, but rime ice almost looks like frost or snow. It's like a very kind of white, milky, opaque ice. And the reason you don't want icing in the aircraft is it adds weight and it disrupts the lift as the air moves over the wings to provide the lift. Rime ice, really any type of ice, will disrupt that airflow over the wing, so you'll get less lift, which can be dangerous. Rime ice, to a lesser extent, if you get clear ice, that's really bad. Clear ice is generally more problematic and tends to be greater in severity, although not always the case. Yeah, as we're going up through this, though, it's likely that we're going to probably pick up a bit. Minus 15 Celsius, that's a prime temperature to get some ice. I bet you we're going to get some on the windshield here in just a moment. Clouds are thin. Yep. Yeah, you can see a little bit forming there. On there. A little bit on there too. It should melt pretty quick because the sun... And it's already melted off. Don't think we're going to be going through any of this other cloud cover up ahead. Though it is a little bit lower out over there. It's about 14 minutes en route. No, about 16. 14 minutes until we arrive at that fix. We'll turn before we get to that, though. And the wind has shifted again, and we're getting another 8-knot tailwind here. Mountains are definitely pretty. Oh yeah, look at that. That's gorgeous. This area is absolutely spectacular in the summer and especially the fall. Can actually shallow out that descent a little bit more. Bump that power up to about 50%. Now that's actually okay right there. I don't know, maybe that top of descent profile was. It just doesn't make sense to drop 20,000 feet in that short of a time frame. Because if you generally plan for 1,000 foot per minute descent, we should have started descending over by Eagle.
Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do?
Now we are starting to go through a little bit of cloud cover, so I'm going to recycle that. It tells you to shut it off after 5 minutes.
Maybe guilty but proud.
So just in case, we may cut below this, but we also might pass through a little bit of it. So just in case.
So fun. Running, running low. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running low. Keep running
My view of the Yukon down there. Yeah, still minus 10 up here. Zoom in and see what we can I want to say that might be the town of Dawson over there. Still a little bit far away to tell for sure. And as we descend, we're just paying attention to the terrain. Everything on the map is still black, which means we're over 2,000 feet above it, so we're good. Once we start seeing green pop up on the map, we'll want to pay attention and adjust this altitude. Set to 4,000. We raise it if necessary, based on the surrounding terrain or flight path.
Interstellar night space, no one else sees. In the underground, we're living low key. Can give you peace here in your mind. And as I found no place in the dead of night to come alive. Life is waiting on the other side. Follow me into the underground. Watch the world changing as the sun goes down. Follow me into the underground.
Yeah, that in fact was way too late.
Follow me into the underground. Into the
Alright, we are below all the clouds. We can go ahead and turn that off, and we should be good. Mixture's in a good spot. Already out that way for sure. Yeah, a little less than 10 minutes away from landing. And the weather doesn't look bad, so some nice kind of scattered clouds. Well, we're looking pretty good around here. And we can actually start to see some trees. Instead of the town up there, it's a little bit tough to tell. We'll get a view of it as we turn in though. Actually, should be flying right over it, if I'm not mistaken there. Yeah, it's gonna sit right over there, and it's really tough to see on here. But the Porcupine River, or not the Porcupine, sorry, the Klondike River runs out that way. So yeah, we should get a good view of the town as we come in. And we can start seeing a little bit of green out to the west, or that's more to the north actually. Off our left wing there, yeah, as you can see some of those mountain peaks get a little higher. But over us, we're still plenty good, all black. So, well over 2,000 feet above the terrain. Zoom in a little bit there. Small amount of turbulence up here. That's not uncommon when you're flying over the mountains. Looks like vertical path has taken over. Let's go ahead and turn VNAV. Oh, it automatically kicked on. Interesting. So this is taking us a little bit steeper down. So now we need to pull that power back down to about 40%. So we don't want that speed getting too high there. Yep, so that is the town of Dawson right there, and then that is the Klondike River. And the airport's going to sit back kind of tucked between that mountain and that there. And the winds have shifted again. Now we're actually getting a 1 knot tailwind, or headwind rather. Well, now it's dead equal. Alright, we're going to take that power back out down to about 35%. Try to bleed some speed. We need to get below 150 before we can go half flaps. And it's getting just a little bit bumpy, so we're actually going to take the power out even more. Try to get down below 150 because we've got a little ways to descend still. That did kind of spit us out a bit high. Alright, it's 149, we're going to go half flaps. So, slow us down a bit. Add a little bit of power in. As long as we stay below 150. A quick look outside. Take a look right down there, the town of Dawson. Right on the side of the Yukon right there, and the Porcupine, I keep saying that. That was what it was up by Fort Yukon. Klondike River, that is. And if you look back here, you see all of these kind of ridges and stuff. These are all old millings from when this ground was mined back in the days of the Klondike Gold Rush and after. So that is pretty neat. We can actually continue that descent all the way down. May even hand fly the aircraft. Yeah, because that approach fixes. All the way out there over the mountains, we see a lot of green popping up. We're going to disengage the autopilot, fly by hand. So we're going to turn. Trim down. Whoa. Check your flaps. Yeah, thanks. Hey, Nomura, how's it going? Let's take that power out. Now we're starting down kind of steep, but we're gonna slip the plane a bit. And we're good flying half flaps. We're just gonna follow the Klondike River and the road out here that leads to the airport. So we're at power idle right now, and we're descending pretty steep. But we have our simulated glide path on, so we can intercept that a bit. Let's bring it up just a little bit. And once we're below 110, we can go full flaps. Don't really need to do that just yet. Let's trim out just a little bit more. There's 109, full flaps. And that's going to bleed a bit of our speed. So we can actually put some power back in just to try to maintain. And we'll get down to about 80 knots. And we need to retrim. So the flaps end up causing a little bit of a steeper angle of descent. Not necessarily rate, but angle. Zoom in just a little bit there. And we're getting a little bit of mountain wave. Mountain wave turbulence. And the winds are kind of tunneling around this. You see the green, where we're more than 1,000 feet above the ground. The yellow, we're less than 1,000 feet above the ground. Off to the sides there. And the red is where the ground is actually above us. So we're at 88 knots. Probably want to be a little slower than that, but airport elevation's 1,200 feet, so we don't really want to go below 2,200 right now. So we can actually maintain this until we get lined up. Let's trim out just a little bit more. We've got the airport there. Fly out over this way a little bit, give ourselves a little bit more room to get lined up on final here. We'll be landing with a tailwind. I can't see it because of the frame. Alright, take that power out. Let's add a little bit in. Yeah, we're high on the pappies. It's kind of an unconventional approach coming in here. Take that power out and just kind of bleed down. If we don't like the approach, we can always, you know, go around. We are quite high, but I think we can make this work. Kind of coming in fast. Yeah. I don't like that. We're going to go around. We're going to go full power, mixture full rich, laps back up to half, and we're just going to climb back out to 2,200 feet, try to circle back in. Safer thing to do than try to force the plane on the ground. And flaps up. Pull that power back just to about 50%. We don't really need to go fast. Trim the plane out a little bit there. Take that power down to about 40%. Stay right about 110. We just couldn't get down on the ground fast enough there. That tailwind was not helping. Now we really don't have much room to maneuver over here. So, we're just gonna fly. Oh yeah, that's the really tricky thing about this airport too, is look at that terrain that rises, kind of sticking out right by the river right there. So we really can't descend over there. Just take that power out. Trim the airplane a little bit more. Now, as long as we stay 500 feet above that, we're legal. But what we will do is just maintain this altitude until we pass over it, rather than try to descend again. Really don't do a lot of hand flying traffic patterns in the sim, but it's one of the most basic things that you learn when you do flight training. It's been a long time since I've had to do one. But I remember enough. Alright, let's see here. Alright. Half flaps. Take that power out. Give ourselves a little bit more room. So we're descending less than 1,000 feet above the ground. That all turns to yellow. Keep that descent gradual. And because we flew a relatively tight base, or traffic pattern, we're going to turn base for a very short time. Coming up by that terrain there, we'll go ahead and turn final again. We're below 110. Let's go full flaps. And put a little bit of power in to keep our speed. And it says we're still high, but this is definitely much more manageable. We take the power out and just drop.
500.
This is a pretty unconventional approach. This is tough terrain to work with here. Let's level off. Oh, it's a tiny bit low. There we go. Now, easy. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because we have that tailwind to work with. Come back over. Get pushed a little bit here. Alright, power out. Floater to the ground. We're going fast over the ground. We're down. Not too bad. Let's go flaps up so we don't go airborne again. And we can just roll because the turnoff won't be. There it is. Yeah, we're still going a little fast. We'll just roll down to the end. This guy! Get off the runway! Crossing the departure end of the runway. Whoa, that plane is just kind of wobbling. And we almost... don't know why that does that. Just sometimes in this plane, when you hit the brakes, it kind of wobbles like that. So we kind of turned over the edge rather than follow that center line, but that's okay. Yeah, we'll taxi over to parking here. Any of these parking spaces will work. Grab one that's not really currently occupied. Maybe back down here in this row. I try to find a mod that improves the ground handling of this plane a bit. The Vision Jet actually turns sharper. Turn up over here, get our wings. Right there on the T. Alright. Parking brake set. Can go ahead and shut down the airplane here. Pitot heat off. Let's check a couple things. Mixture. Flaps are up. Power's idle. Boost pump off. We should have turned that on final approach, but doesn't matter too much. Avionics off and the alternators. I believe that key. Lights are on. Make sure to idle cut off. Engine is stopped. Clear those. Magneto switch to off. Lights off. Battery switches off. And out of the plane. Alright folks, well that's gonna do it for this one. Welcome to beautiful Dawson in the Yukon. Quite nice weather today. Actually pretty sizable airport. This is the second largest town in the Yukon. After Whitehorse. So, it's got a sizable airport. Sizable airport, and it does get a fair bit of tourism, probably because of its history with the Klondike Gold Rush and everything like that. So, cool to make it in. Hope you enjoyed the flight, and that's going to do it for me tonight, as it's starting to get fairly late. I have a couple other things to do before I get in bed for the night and up for piano lesson and work tomorrow. So But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope to catch you on the next one. We'll probably do another flight tomorrow. And as always, until next time, folks, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you.